150 years? No. So to me, I think it's just more of. To me, you got to look at it from this standpoint. This is a globalistic society. This facade of nationalities and affiliations. No, there's a one world government, and there's an affiliation with the global elites, and they, from when you go into their history of the Jesuits, they play both sides. So it would only be natural for them to have control of both sides. So it's more of just puppeting and shepherding people to where they want people to go. Society, from a societal engineering aspect. So no, I don't think none of them have anything positive down the road for people in general.
It's crazy because when I think of that, I'm like, hey, I only exist because people helped Jews during World War II. So would I exist if I didn't support that? So I feel in conflict oftentimes reflecting on these things like, hey, if you're benefiting from the status quo, when I say this as a white guy, obviously, what kind of responsibility do you have? In what way could you alter things? It's a tricky question. So I often try to at my own detriment. But
can you guys hear me? I have a new pair of headphones on.
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, well, like you were saying, like being on the same side, we're supposed to be. These issues aren't supposed to make us enemies like they are now. They're supposed to just be, trying for the good of the country. And, I mean, it's just that we all disagree about what the good of the country is. It's not supposed to be decisive, and it's not supposed to be painting the other side as evil. I don't see either side as evil. I think we just all have very different ideas of what's good for the country.
What if they don't have anything good for the country and for the populace?
I gotta push back on what you're saying, Rayabya, because you think there's no differentiation between Republicans.
What's his name?
Wait, who is that speaking? I'm watching a boxing match. I don't even know who's talking.
Why did I get that?
Let me see. Who was that? Was that Omar Hack?
That was Love.
Love?
Love Art.
Oh, is this some dude with the pick? With oh damn, that's a nice looking bride.
Ray, let me ask you a question. Do you know why that majority of, if you think of Antarctica, the Americas, North America, South America, with the exception of Africa and Europe, just about every other country, if you look at their native people, they all look the same. Have you ever noticed that?
Antarctica and native people?
Yeah, the native people, why do all of the native people look the same? With the exception of...
I think is the most likely outcome of the election.
Fuck yeah, we got Roger Mayhem.
I'm unsure on that. I've never predicted an election. I don't even know what my gut is telling me. I have no idea. Every day I think something differently. I'm not sure. Today it feels like Kamala. I don't.
It's funny. I've got a pretty good track record at calling elections. I've missed 2 elections in my life, and they're for decent reasons. I did not predict Trump beating Hillary. The polls were just too far, leaning one way, and I was, maybe too much leaning on the historical value of polls. And then also, I did not call Bush beating Gore. And if you remember how close that one was, that's, there was reason to call it the other way. And this one, I feel like is similar to those in that the information is hard to dissect, because if you're a Trump supporter, If you're a diehard Trump supporter, you wear the hat. It's easy to identify you. But if you're one of those people that's just like, you know what, I'm kind of fed up with the Democrats, I'm going to vote Trump. Those people don't like to respond to polls. They don't even like to tell people where they're coming from. Hell, some of those people are wearing, have bumper stickers with the Obama Hope and Change, and they're going to cross the aisle. I've never voted in the presidential election for a Republican or a Democrat. I'll probably keep that streak going, mainly because I live in a state that I'm not going to impact. But if I lived in a swing state, there's no doubt in my mind I would be voting for Trump, just because Kamala Harris is that fucking bad. And that's not an endorsement of Trump for anybody. Like I'm not endorsing Trump. I'm just saying that if I were in a state where it could be close, I would have to vote for Trump. I like to be able to sleep at night.
I think you should vote regardless, because there might be a lot of people thinking like you, and that could actually make the difference.
Yeah, not in my state. In my state, they voted, Biden won by the largest margin in my state, just to give you some perspective.
You don't want him to win the popular vote?
Well, he's definitely not winning the popular vote in my state. In my state, he's probably going to get about 40% of the popular vote. I don't know. Okay, convince me that I should vote.
Well, just because if enough people are thinking like you and they just decide not to go and vote because they are just convinced that their vote is not going to count. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that it might be the impact that your state needs. Everybody is so fed up of this government. As you say, a lot of people are not voicing it, not being vocal about it because it's not well received or whatever the case is, or they have spoken too much about Trump and it's hard to come back from there. But a lot of people are silent about their vote.
No, what he's actually saying is that in 2016 and 2020, Trump voters turned out 2% more, 2.2% more than the polls actually show. And this is a consistent, not made up value about Trump. So if we have an election that is pretty much tied, and we do, we need to take that part into account.
I know what he's saying, but I'm saying that this election, it feels different. It feels like people are being more secretive about their real intentions and their real thoughts. Because the country is getting to an extreme where it's unbearable for people to keep living like in the past 4 years.
Well, actually, on a historical basis, I don't think things are extreme at all. I'll just say very briefly, in the election of 1964, civil rights was on the agenda, and the divide over civil rights was much deeper than any disagreement we have.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, Mickey, Snoop, whatever I call you. Do you think it's fair to say that this is the most divided we've been since the mid-'60s?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think the thing that people might worry about is that when you acknowledge that this is the most divided that the U.S. has been since the mid-'60s, and you go back and you look at what was happening in the mid-'60s, people were so divided that they were willing to kill the leaders of movements. And so you had the Kennedys that were killed, you had Martin Luther King that was killed, and now you have people taking shots at rallies at Donald Trump. And I'm starting to think that while I agree with you, we're not quite there yet, I think we're damn fucking.
Well, I think, Roger, you may be correct, but people who host rooms on Clubhouse have an incentive to say that, right? Because if you get people agitated and concerned, you get a bigger audience. So you're not a totally neutral observer. You profit from the attention that chaos causes. Respect.
Yeah, I mean that would be true, but if you see me in a room with 3 people, I'm the same fucking guy. I have my opinions on these things, and you guys have yours. But I would accept the point that I do like bringing sides together that disagree, and making a provocative statement from time to time does stir the pot, and I'll plead guilty to that. But I don't think the comment that I just made fits that category. I'm simply, I'm recognizing that what you're saying is correct, in that in the 60s we were more divided than we are now. The challenge is that a lot of people that are paying attention to this stuff weren't alive in the 60s, or if they were so young they weren't paying attention to it. And so by far this feels like their moment. And because of social media, I think it has the potential to explode even faster. And so when I look, if you go back and you start looking at the Summer of Love, and you start looking at these assassination attempts on Donald Trump, I think that we're at a point where if people on both sides don't find some leadership that is capable of toning down the rhetoric, I think we're headed to a really weird spot.
That's definitely not going to come from the Democrat Party.
Well, that rhetoric isn't going to help the situation.
Well, let's address a comment from the chat. It says it's exactly what Kamala Harris is trying to do. I don't know if showing up to a rally and pretending to have a voice that identifies with the people in your rally, I don't know if I don't think she's got enough sincerity in her. She's not believable to me. Like, if she was somebody that moved into the neighborhood, she'd be the one that's trying to fit in by trying to, speak the lingo. And there's something. Forget about politics for a second. Forget about whether I agree with her, whether I disagree with her. I can just look at her and realize this is one of the most disingenuous human beings they've ever thrown in front of us. This is the fakest person I've ever seen, ascend to this level of politics. I mean, there's fake people everywhere, but to this level of fakeness, where she has a different accent depending on what group of people she's speaking in front of, and we're supposed to trust that. Make that make sense.
Do you trust any of them?
Do I trust who?
Do you trust either of them?
No. I think, Kyle, that's a good point, or dude, or whatever I'm calling you this week. The fact is I don't trust Trump. I don't like Trump. Many of his policies, to me, feel counter to what I believe this country is about. But then when I take that and I look at that in a comparison against Kamala Harris, I feel like, well, somehow Trump, the Democrats have decided to run somebody so bad that Trump feels more like the constitutionalist to me than Kamala Harris.
100%.
100% means a subjective 100%, right? Because that wasn't an objective 100%. That's a subjective 100%.
So I'm being told in the chat that I sound like I have no understanding of nuance or people who are multidimensional. Okay, well, let's see. I grew up in the hood. I know how people talk in the hood. I suppose when I entered the workforce and became a professional, I had to, quote unquote, code switch. But so I do understand how different settings can influence things. What I wouldn't do at my age is go back to the hood and fall into, I'm in the hood. Let me talk like this. And I wouldn't do that, because that's not me anymore. And so her ability to switch it up on the fly to try to impress people, and the fact that people buy into it, you're flying cover for her. Like, why are we flying cover for her? Why can't we call it out and say, hey, that is some disingenuous shit that should be called out? And again, I'm not even talking about her policies right now. I'm just, that one facet of her, the fact that she will switch up how she talks to play to the audience that she has. I mean, that's the equivalent of these fucking struggling fucking, rock bands that, when they get into a town that, that might not be their bread and butter audience, they'll fucking like, hey, how you doing, San Francisco? And then they might fucking play a song like that's a cover tune of a famous San Francisco band. That's the way I feel about her. It's just like I don't like it when bands do it. I don't like it when politicians do it. I feel like I just feel like she's fake. And it maybe if you think that that's how people are supposed to connect with each other, I guess you would suppose that if I went to the South and sat down in a Southern restaurant and the waitress spoke in a Southern accent, that the way that I would best fit in would be to mimic her Southern accent. I just think for yourself to find that it should be called.
Only when it's done by someone that is not on their side, which in which case they call it cultural appropriation. But if it's done by someone on their side, they call it trying to relate.
Sorry, are you from the South? Did you actually had what Roger was saying from you, or are you just going off of your subjective opinion?
Dude, are you okay today? Are you trying to get my attention?
Fine, yeah. This
Are you trying to get my attention? Is this the way that you flirt?
No, just responding to the
I just thought because you feel that you need to make a comment every time I speak. So
just responding. Just responding.
Guys, we don't have to fight. It's a Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day in America.
It is.
Just everybody just love each other. Look, so let me ask the question because I'm getting smoke from the chat. They never like to come up on the stage and have these arguments, but they're saying that I don't understand. Oh God, what was the words that were used? It comes out naturally. Do you even understand creative people? So, okay, is anybody on the stage believe that Kamala Harris is a creative?
No.
I have no idea.
I mean, listen, here's what I know about her. And it's a
She
little
has a
bit
way
more
with
than
words.
the average person because I lived in the county that she first became a deputy district attorney. She was in Alameda County. And then she failed her way up, to district attorney in San Francisco. And then she continued to fail her way up. She's been a failure at every step of the way. And then she just continues to fail upward. Jules says she succeeded. That's an opinion that Jules has and differs from me. I witnessed it. Look. Here's what I like from my attorney. If you're going to be the chief prosecutor in a county or a state, here's the thing. And Jules, maybe you disagree with this statement. I like ones that have integrity. And if there were evidence that were shown that would allow someone that's free to go free, I would want them to consider that and not ignore that. And I certainly wouldn't want them, after sending hundreds of people to jail on marijuana charges, giggle like a little schoolgirl when acknowledging that she too has smoked pot. I think, honestly, I just think she's a terrible human being. Forget about being a politician for a second. Politicians, by their very nature, have to do some things that are a little shifty. I'm going to give a little bit of a fucking pass on that. I think she's just a terrible, terrible person. Honestly, if we were on the Titanic and it was sinking and there was fucking 1,000 people on it, she was waving her fucking arms, I guarantee you, if my job is to get people on the lifeboats, she's the last one on the fucking boat. She is gonna the band kept playing, and the captain's supposed to be, dude. The captain and the fucking band are gonna fucking take a fucking boat before that bitch takes a boat. That's how I live.
Well, I'd help both of them, but I'd be questioning is while I'm doing it, but I'd still help it.
I
I think that, like I said before, I wouldn't, with all of the ethical questions that you're asking, I don't think anyone's the clear winner with ethics here. And you brought up integrity. I would say I do not see a clear winner in the realm of integrity.
So, Roger, as someone who's very familiar with Alameda County, I would respectfully say that the vice president was a much better prosecutor than the clown that Alameda County has today. Respect.
Also, Roger, I really actually think your analogy is amazing because what is behind it, the idea that, you know, Kamala's like a damsel in distress and she needs help. It's because when it comes to like those, like, you know, Darwinian, like it's something, if a person's in a Darwinian situation, say, you know, like they're out somewhere and they have trouble surviving, right? And they have to figure it out for themselves. You know, maybe no one ever taught them certain things, and so they have trouble. They're struggling, right? That's what Kamala's problem is. She's struggling, and she's saying, please help me, I'm the best person in the world. And she'll come up with all these DEI-related reasons, like, kind of thing. She'll say that, you know, Donald Trump won't help me because I'm racist, right? Or because he's racist, right? And then, like, that kind of stuff, basically, it's the thing is, it's not really that she deserves any harm. It's not like nobody says, oh, there should be any harm that should come to Kamala in this analogy. But she's already put herself in a dangerous situation. This politics stuff has become very violent. Unfortunately, you know, I mean, Trump was attacked twice. I would never try to be observers. It's not because they're a bad institution. It's just that I wouldn't want to spend up that much time like dealing with such an awful boss. And it's actually in a lot of newspapers that she's an awful boss. A lot of people hated her in the White House. You can just Google it. It's simple.
Yeah, I don't know if, man, look, I don't know if you guys even get what I'm laying down here. I think that with Trump, here, let me make my case for why I think Trump would be a better president than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a vice president right now, and the administration is dog shit. She has a crisis on her hand that since Biden took office and she was sworn in as vice president, she was named border czar. And illegal immigration, is absolutely out of fucking control. It's one of the big issues that's going to be on the mind of voters, is the border. And particular, the policy of the Biden administration, which she represents because she's the vice president. The illegal immigration situation was far better under control under Trump than it is under Biden and Harris. And then when we start thinking about foreign policy, when Trump was in office, you had the Abraham Accords being signed, and you had legitimate efforts to try to achieve peace in the Middle East. Biden and Harris are in office, and the Middle East is on the verge of a regional war. And you have countries that are going to war with each other. I'm not going to sit here and make the claim that, hey, if Trump was in office, October 7th doesn't happen. I'm not going to make that claim. All I'm going to say is that when Trump was in office, the world was more peaceful and more prosperous. And if anybody wants to have that argument, we can. But Harris has been the vice president over a decline in peace and prosperity, and I don't think that you allow that dumb bitch to fail up and become the president as she's resided. She's been the vice president under this crazy decline. The silence means everyone agrees with me.
No, I agree with you 100%.
I do 100%. Go ahead, dude. Say something about my 100%. Oh, to want to flirt with me anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think if I had to make a prediction here, I think that I think Trump's going to win this election, and I think we're going to spend the rest of the winter fighting off like crybabies that want to like burn down their local Target. I think it's going to get weird.
100%. You know what's interesting? The vice president thing. She has been in office for 4 years, but there was an opportunity for her to break away from that and say, starting now, things are going to be different. But she refuses to do it because if she does, I don't know, she thinks that she's going to have no one on her side. So she had a chance to do that, but hasn't.
100%.
If for any of the Kamala supporters on the stage, can you guys give me the best reason to vote for Harris? This is always met with silence. When you ask for a specific reason, they never give a specific reason. And if they do, it'll be something like, it'll be some lip-loaded talking point like, well, because she's not Trump. Or then they'll say something dumb like, well, because Project 2025, which I think any honest person understands that Trump and Project 2025 are not the same. I just don't know of it. Like, I'm waiting for somebody to give me steelman the position for Kamala Harris, because I've never heard anybody made a really good argument of why they're voting.
I think basically the people behind her leverage this fact that there's widespread Trump derangement syndrome. There are people have this TDS. I would defend that. If somebody on stage wants to claim that TDS,
if I were to vote for Harris, because I'm still on the fence, it would be most likely because of the housing policies. So it looks like during this administration, there were more homes that were created. And then I'm not finished looking at her housing proposals, but it looks like being able to focus on pushing down power to local municipalities and state municipalities to be able to build more. That would be probably one of the only reasons right now that I'm looking at.
No, that's an interesting point. So one of her policies that she's proposing around housing would be to give $25,000. Now, just do a sidebar and explain that money money comes from taxpayers, or it can be printed out of thin air. The government doesn't have money sitting around to do this. So $25,000 for first-time home buyers. Does anybody want to take a stab at what they think housing prices would do if the government decided to cut $25,000 checks for first-time home buyers? Do you think housing prices would go up, stay the same, or go down? Let's take some.
Roger, tax credit, not cash. It's a difference.
Is there?
Well, yes, I presume there is, but I have another reason. And the reason is that most of the red states are poor and take a lot more assistance from the federal government. And what I believe about the government is that the government exists to help the people. Helping the people consists of doing things that they need on an everyday basis. And since most red states use more public assistance than most blue states, if I were a red state person and knew what I was doing, I would be voting for Kamala, because if Trump just cuts tax credits for people who make money, it's not going to make any difference to them because they don't make enough money to pay taxes.
So, I guess
actually had a question
Dr.
about that,
Francine,
too.
hold on, Cam, real quick, and then I'll go to you. I think, Dr. Francine, the biggest difference between you and I's political philosophy is when you state that you believe that the government's role is to help the people. I believe that helping the people means recognizing negative rights, not positive rights. And so more specifically, I believe that the government's role is to protect the rights to life, liberty, and property. And this idea that giving people money, like whether it's healthcare, education, or food assistance or housing assistance, whatever it is, this idea of a claim to these positive rights, that is not what the founders intended. That's certainly not what John Locke wrote about that inspired the founders. It's just not what the government role was intended to be. It's certainly not what it was intended to be originally. And so I get that through Marx and other philosophers, there's been this shift in some people's minds of what the government role should be, and I just reject that. I reject full stop positive rights, and I support full stop negative rights.
Can I get a source on that? Red states use more public assistance than blue states.
Oh, it's everywhere. I'll send it to you. I'll find it and put it in the chat.
I can honestly say, actually, I had a question about this. We were talking about housing. This was, I don't know if anybody heard this, but I've actually listened to most to every podcast that Kamala has been on. So I actually listened to the Call Her Daddy podcast. And I actually wrote down, there was a question that was asked about kids and housing. And I actually would love someone's thought on this and more of a against this, especially to Kamala supporters, like how you justify this. She was asked a question that was said, almost 1 in 4 Gen Z and millennials say they don't want kids because it's expensive. How are you going to help young people not feel left behind? And her answer was, so first of all, it's a very real issue and we need to take it seriously, and I do take it very seriously. So there's a number of issues that contribute to that feeling. One is housing is too expensive and we need to increase the housing supply. So part of my plan is to work with home builders in the private sector to create tax incentives to build, by the end of my first term, 3 million more housing units. Second piece is $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. She also said to a point that was made that she wants to include the $6,000 tax cut, as well as doing a $50,000 for small businesses, a $50,000 tax deduction. Because, quote, right now it's $5,000, and you can't start up anything or any small business with $5,000. I'd like to know, my question is to anybody in the room, what do you guys think about her housing proposal? Or with the $50,000 tax deduction? I know, Roger, you were probably, as a libertarian, probably have thoughts about that, but what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'll weigh in if everybody's having a silent Saturday. Look, here's my take on it, and it's pretty simple. I don't believe that the government at the federal level is going to be able to tackle this stuff.
I agree.
Zoning laws is something that's done, within a state and local jurisdiction. The idea that the federal government is even talking about it is directly ignoring the 9th and 10th Amendment, right? It's not the federal government's job to do this. And I think what happens is that when people want something to go a particular way, they ignore our entire system of government and they just say, oh, we'll just fucking get it done. Well, sometimes just getting it done sets a precedent that goes against and is counter to the way that the government works. And so meddling in state and local affairs is not necessarily what you would want to do. And if somebody's saying, no, we should do that. Okay, well, let's just imagine, let's say you've got one of those bleeding hearts for illegal immigrants, for example, right? Let's say you're a bleeding heart for legal immigrants. And let's say you prefer the California immigration laws versus the Texas immigration laws, for example. And let's say the president becomes, I don't know, say it's Donald Trump. And let's say he likes the way that Texas does it, and he comes over and he tells Californians, this is the way it's going to fucking happen. Are you guys comfortable with that? And then vice versa, if that exercise doesn't work, let's say you like the Texas laws on cracking down on illegal immigration, and let's say Kamala Harris gets over there and tramples on state law. I mean, we should really allow the states to manage the states, and especially when it comes to housing. I mean, who owns that property? And who's responsible for setting zoning laws? It's not the federal government. Give me an example.
I'll give you an example of a problem with it. Just 1 second. So you create 3 million more homes. You inject that as the federal government into states all across the country. You inject that money and those incentives. And then you take a $25,000 first-time home buyer credit or gift and you put it into that. Followed immediately by BlackRock scooping up those homes at an exorbitant price, just for 3 years later, that price to be even more exorbitant because they bought up whole neighborhoods and there's no regulation saying that they can't do it. And we get houses that cost 3 times as much now instead of what they are costing, which is probably inflated 2 times. So,
Roger, the reason that the federal government is getting involved is because the states are not doing what they're supposed to do with regards to housing. I'll give you an example here in California. It is incredibly expensive for builders to come and build. There's so much bureaucracy, there's so much red tape, and then there's a lot of different lawsuits. So if the federal government can do something, and they have to, because if they just continue to leave it up to the states are going to continue to have a problem. It's a big deal.
Yeah, Diana. The zoning laws is one of the things that I know very, very well, and I think one of the things that you're overlooking, and possibly because you have your own ideas of what you think would be best for zoning laws. Here's where the complication in zoning laws come from: is politicians at the state, county, and city level, they want to get voted in. And the people that vote in, the people that show up to vote, tend to be property owners. And property owners, they embrace this idea that, man, if we build more housing, the housing supply goes up. The demand, better to meet the demand, the pricing won't go up quite as fast. And so you're absolutely right that there's a problem. It's the delicacy on how to fix it. Because here's the reality. Even in an area like San Francisco, where, if you were to get these politicians, to ask them off record, hey, what would you like to see with zoning laws? They would say, oh man, I'd love to build. The problem is that their constituents that are homeowners don't want them to build, because if they did build, what would happen is values would either slow in growth, flatten, or perhaps decline. They don't go up as fast. We know that to be true, right? We know that to be true. And so the people that are arguing, hey, we need to bring housing costs down, are the people that don't currently own a home. And I understand their motivations for wanting it to go down. I mean, shit, forget about San Francisco for a minute. Imagine you grew up, let's say you're 4th generation living in Idaho, and you thought, yeah, I'm going to live in the Boise, Idaho area my whole life. And then 20 years ago, a bunch of people from California started moving in, right? And then they were willing to pay a bunch of money. Now, the people that were selling those homes were happy as a clam because they made more money on those homes than they ever thought they would possibly make. That's their right to sell it. But now this future generation is saying, fuck, I might not be able to buy a home in Idaho the way my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents did. I might be fucked. I might have to move somewhere more rural. And the bottom line is, this is a problem that the federal government, if they got involved, would only make worse. If the federal government decided to come in and put their hand on the scale in any direction, they are going to go against the will of the individuals that are involved in this process. And so I would highly encourage you that if you care about zoning laws, to get involved locally and get people to show up to vote that agree with you, and then locally change your zoning laws. Because asking the federal government to do it is going to be an absolute disaster. Because here's the other thing. If you want the federal government to control zoning laws, you also have to be prepared for what happens when the federal government isn't in agreement with you. What about when the federal government comes in and makes decisions that are counter to what you want? This is why you have to really think these things out. Asking the federal government to do something that's not part of their responsibility is a very dangerous thing. And it's unfortunate because you guys only ask for this shit when you're asking for something that you want them to do for you. But if they came in and overstepped their authority and did something against your will, you'd have a big fucking problem with it. So I sit in this place where I look and I say to both sides, be careful what you fucking wish.
Right, so I think that having, hold on, there's proof that the federal government does a job with zoning than local governments, and I would further argue succinctly that having the federal government control zoning is more in line with libertarian principles than local people, because the federal government gives people more freedom to build apartment buildings than local. So if you believe that a man who owns a piece of land should be allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants, which is a principle of libertarianism, you should be in favor of federal zoning. I'm done speaking.
Yeah, I love when people invoke libertarianism when they talk to me as if that's the only lens in which I view the world. Look, I don't want the federal government overstepping their bounds. I do not want them telling states, counties, and cities what to do. The Constitution's pretty clear on what the limitations of government are. And when it comes to getting involved in zoning laws, you're gonna have to rewrite the Constitution if you think you're ever gonna make that fly.
I agree with you about zoning, Roger. In case you care.
Yeah, I'm on the side. But by the way, Diane, I'm on the side of allowing people to build more. I definitely think that there's some value that we can get. If you look at major population centers in the United States, I'm a bigger fan of the Houston zoning laws, which are virtually non-existent, than I am to, let's say, San Francisco or Los Angeles zoning laws, the way they exist. So it's funny because you and I kind of agree on what the zoning laws would best look like. Where we seem to disagree is who should be making that decision. And unless the local people are on board with what you and I are saying, it's not going to happen.
Well, I agree with local and state having the, obviously the jurisdiction with zoning. Federal doesn't get involved with zoning, not yet. But I'll give you an example. So in Los Angeles, we just had one of the council members go to federal prison because of a whole bunch of different things. But one of the items that keeps coming up are these, what they call sweetheart deals, where they're giving state property to investors, and then, years later you find out that there were backdoor deals. So to me, I think that we consistently see a problem with this in our state, and I do think that at least the eyeballs of the federal government are needed. I really do. I'll give you another example. Like in my city, I live in Burbank, right? So we're a small little incorporated city. All of California is under rent control right now, and they're looking to build in areas that are close to the freeways. We have to build, I think, like 10,000 units. Those city council meetings with neighbors coming in and vetoing and petitioning to not have any more housing built, that, I don't know if it goes on in your neighborhoods, but it goes on all over California. And so literally, the concept of housing is not going to be fixed this way. Even with programs, with land, with builders, when you have all these neighbors coming in and saying, not in my backyard, someone's got to step in, Roger.
Yeah, and here's my thought on this, right? And I'd love to get Mickey's thought on this, is that there seems to be three positions, if we were to put them in buckets. There's the NIMBYs, not in my backyard. They're the ones that don't want you to build anything that's going to, change the perception of the neighborhood, lower the value, right? Then you have communities that say, yes, in my backyard. Those are the YIMBYs, right? Those are the ones that are saying, yes, you should build it here. And those are areas that are saying, look, we would love the development. We would love to be a hub of commerce. We would love to have more housing. We would love to grow. And what's funny is that we have people arguing that in a community filled with YIMBYs that they need to change their mind. And they're rejecting the idea that there's communities that have this desire to build. And then people are like, well, yeah, but I just don't want to go there. And then there's that third category that I refer to as a MIMBY, which is a maybe in my backyard. It depends on what you're talking about building. It depends on, are you talking about building skyrises? Are you talking about building tenement housing? What are you talking about building? And let's have a conversation, because depending on what you're building, maybe in my backyard, maybe not. Depends on what you're talking about. And so when I look at an area like specifically, if you look at Seattle and you look at San Francisco, and you have these people that would traditionally, you would think they would say, yeah, we should have affordable housing for everybody. They might even say that. But then when it comes to their voting record, they do not want to build low-income housing in their area because they don't want to lower the value of their homes. And I understand their motivation for that. And so here's the interesting thing, right? You have, because this transcends politics. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you own a home that you paid $300,000 for and it's now worth $2.4 million, you are not going to support any political vote that is going to change the fact that you just created a situation of wealth creation for your family and the next generation. You're just not going to do it. The people that made that come up, they're just not going to change their ways on that. And so honestly, I think that people that are eyeballing affordable housing should be looking at areas that are willing with their zoning laws to create new housing and to find a new place to fucking live. And I know that sounds harsh, but you know what? That's the way the world's always worked. If you can't afford the house on the fucking hill, then you fucking afford the house.
Roger, I'll respond as someone who's studied zoning. I'll respond very briefly. Your statement does not recognize the fact that humans have very different productivity depending where they are. And I'll be very succinct. So I spend a lot of time in Palo Alto. Palo Alto has the smartest venture capitalists in the world. And what that means is, if you are starting a software company and you can afford an apartment in Palo Alto, you have a much greater chance of success. Now, that success doesn't only make you money, it makes a shitload of money for America. So, economists who are smarter than anyone in this room studied it, and economists have said, if a piece of land near Palo Alto was upzoned to allow skyscrapers, what it would mean is the cost to rent a one-bedroom would be cut in half, right? Because increasing supply by 200,000-300,000 apartments means rents fall by half. Now, what happens when you have 200,000 affordable apartments within driving distance of Silicon Valley? Well, I'll tell you what happens. A huge percentage of the people who are born with high IQ move to those apartments and they start software companies. They get rich, but more importantly, America gets rich. Now, under your plan, you're a smart guy, but your plan is retarded, and I'll explain why, Roger. Under your plan, the places that build...
Wait, hold on. Can we just pause? I just want to say that the next time somebody wants to insult me, let's do it the way Mickey did. He started it with a compliment, and then he insulted me. He said, you're a smart guy, but... I think that should be the protocol for insulting anybody anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think most of your plans were very smart. On this one narrow issue, you're wrong. And I'll be very succinct in explaining why, right? You're completely right. There are plenty of places in America that understand the need to allow 200,000 affordable apartments. Houston deserves praise for that. Austin is building apartments. There are plenty of cities, there's only one fucking place where a young software guy can move and be 15 minutes away from venture capitalists. So, in the best interest of America, the people in Silicon Valley have to, for the best interest of America, they have to suck it up and allow some corner. It doesn't have to be every part of Silicon Valley. It could be just 10%, but 10% of Silicon Valley has to be upzoned to allow skyscrapers. It has to. For the success of America, you have to let 400,000 or 500,000 young, hungry, software nerd guys move there. Because if America does your retarded plan, those software guys are going to be moving thousands of miles away, and the country will be fucked up the ass. I am done speaking. I'm happy to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah, I give the other opinions. I want to hold on. I want to respond to my my retarded idea, because respectfully, as I advise young entrepreneurs, I would tell them to reject exactly what you said, which is you have to be in Silicon Valley. If you're a tech entrepreneur and you're young and you're hungry and you're looking for that VC money, you don't have to live in San Francisco. In fact, you should move to Omaha. And here's why you should move to Omaha. You can have a very inexpensive apartment. You can work out of your fucking house. And then you can contact those very same VCs that are happy to meet with you virtually. And then when they need to have a cup of coffee with you to press flesh, what you do is you simply spin up a little virtual office, a WeWork that's right in the heart of Silicon Valley, all over in San Francisco and other parts of Palo Alto, Menlo Park, and you have a meeting place with a conference room that you could spend literally like less than $100 a month for. So you could get your apartment in Omaha, and if you need to have a presence to go schedule meetings with VCs, let's say you set up your VC meetings, set them up for a particular week, you fly into San Francisco, you work out of a WeWork, you have access to a conference room, you meet with them. If you have to go to their office, you go to their office. But you do not have to move to San Francisco. In fact, moving to San Francisco is one of the most retarded things that I think that you could possibly do, because now instead of spending $1,000 a month on an apartment in Omaha, you're going to spend $4,000 for a shittier place in San Francisco. By the way, you'd have a higher quality of people in your neighborhood if you did that. That neighborhood in Omaha, anyways. And if anybody wants more advice on this, ping me privately, and I'll let you know a 10-step plan on what you should do if you're a young entrepreneur. And I'm not selling anything. I give this stuff away. Because what Mickey's saying is absolutely ridiculous. When people go to San Francisco chasing fucking rainbows and going broke and doing that, it's a terrible fucking...
Okay, just have a quick one about, real quick, this is just a question. I would like, and Cam, you could be part of this because I know you're into housing. This statistic that Mickey Mouse just threw out, that when housing supply increases, rents get cut in half. I've been in New York for 30-something years. I've never, ever, ever seen that to be the case, even Long Island, the city, anywhere. So does that happen in the country when housing supplies increase, rents cut in half in places like Silicon Valley, places that you're talking about that need skyscrapers? Has anyone ever seen something like that?
Not only has it been seen, but I posted 4 articles about cities it's happening in right now. I'll be very brief. Minneapolis did exactly what I said. They eliminated zoning. They said to capitalism, build as many fucking apartments as you want. And because capitalists built apartments, the rents plummeted. Now, Minneapolis is the best example, but if you Google it or read the shit I posted in the room chat, you'll see it's happening in 4, 5, 6 cities. If you upzone and then you step the fuck out of the way, capitalists will build so much housing that rents go down.
Well, here's an example, though, and I know you know this example. The libertarian type affluent folks of Silicon Valley, they understood that they were never going to change the zoning laws in Alameda County or San Francisco or even Santa Clara County. They knew that wasn't going to happen. And what they did is they got together, people like Mark Andreessen and others, they got together and they bought property, inexpensive property in Solano County. And it was much cheaper. And what they're doing, because the zoning laws are better and because the property costs less, they're building a beautiful community just outside of San Francisco, which if you wanted access to the city, you'll have it. But they did the right thing, and they said, "Look, I'm gonna buy cheaper property, and I'm gonna develop what I want to develop." And I don't know if you guys, if anybody has heard of California Forever, but I think it's the best idea that's come around in many, many years in California, and I'm excited to see. It's the one place that I would consider if I ever fucking lost my brain and decided to move back to California. California Forever is the only place I'd consider.
I actually, in regards to this too, had another policy question. There was something else that kind of relates to alone with apartment and housing. There was something else that was said in this interview, and I'd love people's thoughts on this too. So the other thing that was said is she said, quote, "The other piece and the other part of my policy I'm pushing for is helping people in terms of medical debt not being on their credit score. Because, you know, if you rack up debt because you have medical bills, it can be used against your credit score, which is going to impact your ability to get an apartment lease or a car loan or a small business loan." And so I have to say, out of all of the policies, these are the only two that I've been able to find with Kamala. I think I've heard every podcast that I've heard with her. But I'm curious, and I have to say, I would actually be very interested in hearing her talk more about the idea of saying, "Hey, I actually do not like medical debt being on a credit, on your credit score." What do we think about that? How do you guys feel about the idea of medical debt being on a credit score and her pushing a bill that would get that off? Do you guys think that that's overreach? What do we think about? Anybody can feel free to answer that if they want to. I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
About it. Or her expound on that.
Well, that's the other thing also.
Yeah, it's not.
That's the other thing as well. Is like it wasn't necessarily in depth. But I guess off the offshoot, what do we think about?
Fuck them. Fuck them. No, honestly, fuck them. Fuck them. Let them bleed. Let them bleed. No, let the financial industry behind the medical farce that exists in America, let them bleed.
Yeah.
They want to freaking try to turn new customers into our children, okay, by getting them onto gender hormones faster. Let them bleed. Let them go bankrupt. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Isn't that a good example? Not the fuck 'em part, but the credit reporting, because aren't some states already?
No, don't let them collect any money until they have a commitment to stop attacking children. Let them not collect the money. Let them learn their lesson. This is how we fight back.
This is how we do it.
Dr. Adam Camp. So and for the room. So this is a perfect example where I think the federal government is having to come in to uniform something like the credit reporting, because I'm pretty sure there are states that are already making it so that medical debt is not included in that credit report, but not all states do that. And yes, it does make a difference, like for a house, to get a loan, all of those things. So I think it's a good idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I have to say, that is the only policy that I've heard from her that I was like, you know what, I would actually be really interested to hear more about that, or what does that look like? I don't know. I do know a lot of people in my personal life who do have medical debt and that is on their credit and they're trying to move. It's just sad to me that we can't even get to that as a policy because, she's drinking beer and he and ha and crap. So it's like, finally wow, we finally might have something here, and I'd like to hear more about it, but we can't get to any of it because she's be laughing and crap.
I think the whole credit reporting industry is something that we should reject. If you think about the way it works, is okay. When you first start out, you have no credit. That's a bad thing. So then, how do you establish credit? Oh, you have to take on a credit card or a loan that establishes that you pay your debts. But then these credit cards that you're issued, especially when you have no credit, the ones that you'll get accepted for, the ones with the high interest rates. So you have to go into debt to be able to tell the world, I'm worthy of credit. So you have to make bad financial decisions for the world to say you're credit worthy. What we need to do is figure out a way, how do we measure good financial decisions to establish credit worthiness? And now, I get that if somebody chronically doesn't pay their bills, that should absolutely be a ding. Now, if you wanted to, provide some sort of, context about why those bills didn't get paid, maybe there's room for that, and maybe if people want to, accept, the reason of why those particular bills didn't get paid. But I just reject this entire idea, and I have a decent credit score. It's no longer 800, but I've recently been looking at this and thinking about, wow, the way that you have to, massage your credit to get the very best score, to be able to get the very best rates, is to be able to make bad decisions and take on debt. And it's a crazy thought. And I wish there was a better fucking way. And I'm open to hearing suggestions on a better way of measuring somebody's credit worthiness without influencing people to make these bad decisions and force them. Nobody's got any ideas. Okay, moving on. Sorry.
I do.
Thanks,
I do
guys.
think that like the rent, I like people's monthly rent. I think that could be included in some type of credit reporting because that helps people get a mortgage loan. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but some say that reporting system is very biased, and the way that it's used. Because remember, it's just a report. The person that's reading it still has to process it, and that's where the complications come in.
I think maybe instead of looking at a credit score, we should just have people write out, an explanation of why they need the money, what they're going to do with it, and as long as you can show that you have income and whatnot. I think some of these things are problematic. Like, again, explain to me how it makes good financial sense for a young person to take on a credit card that's got a 20+% interest rate, and encouraging them, hey, if you make your payments on time on that card that's charging you 20% interest on everything that you purchase, how exactly is that? How exactly is that helping that young person? And you're encouraging them that, oh, but if you do that, your credit score goes up. And the only reason you would want your credit score to go up is so you can get more money to go further in debt. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me.
Free Palestine. No, fuck Palestine.
Hey, listen, we're not going to go there because, look, Palestine doesn't exist. So let's just... Unc, it's good to see you. Are you able to come to the microphone? I guess he's not. Akima, it's been a long time. How you doing?
What's up, Roger? How you doing?
Doing well. Jefferson, you came up when we were talking about zoning laws, and you've seen parts of the country that most of the city dwellers have not. What are your thoughts on zoning?
I would just assume remain unaffiliated with zoning laws. Like, I get it.
but I don't know. It's not optimal. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to really carefully consider what you're asking for when you talk about like particular zoning laws. If you make it really restrictive, then people can't build, and if you can't build, then not only do you just don't have housing, right? And then what will happen is they'll go, okay, well, we'll zone it for an industrial area, or we'll zone it for agriculture, or we'll zone it for for a business park or whatever. But the last thing that they do is zone it for affordable housing. And we understand why that happens, right? Because again, the people that don't want their property values to go down, they're fighting against that. Like, and I get their motivation, but there is the counter, and I prefer like the Houston style, where it's like you want to buy the property and you want to do something with it, go ahead. But just imagine you bought your like a plot of land in Houston, built your family dream home, and then the lot next to you gets bought, and somebody puts up some crazy building that's like 6 stories high and I don't know, ruins the aesthetic that you were going for. And this is where, like, for me, I don't think that aesthetic would be desirable, but at the same time, I would say, you know what, I would still rather live in an area where the guy that owns the property next to me can do whatever the fuck he wants with it, than to live in an area where the guy living next to me or myself can't do anything we want with it because we don't truly own it, and the government's going to tell us exactly what it is, what they want. Hey, hold on. Everyone, hold on. Let me address the chat, okay? You guys are getting a little wild in the chat. We don't need to be telling anybody to fuck off. We certainly don't need to collectivize guilt and tell everyone to fuck off. So, Pezman, your comment, fuck Arabs, Muslims, Israelis, and Ukrainian. Listen, we don't need that kind of energy today. We certainly don't need it from you, someone that doesn't have the balls to get on a stage on an audio app and have a conversation. You are a chat rat, and if you're going to be in the chat adding commentary, we would want you to add fucking value, okay? So if I'm not going to remove you now, but I am going to delete your comment, and if you keep up your dumb shit, I will remove you from the room. Let this be a warning to everybody. So
I'll be very brief, Roger, which is, I don't think upzoning California should even be a Democrat versus Republican issue, because economists, you have the most leftist economists and the most libertarian economists and Republican economists have all studied it, and they've all published peer-reviewed papers. I'm not going to bore you. Anyone that really gives a shit can read them. Every single economist, no matter where they're on the political spectrum, has said that America has incredible untapped potential, specifically by upzoning California. It actually doesn't matter if you upzone the middle of America, because humans that move to places in the middle of America don't magically become more productive. But for reasons that I'm sure you understand, Roger, the average American citizen who moves near Palo Alto becomes dramatically more productive for 5 or 6 reasons. And this has the potential to help leftists and right-wing people. And I'll be very succinct, and then I'll land my plane and you can shit on my views. And everyone knows that the people who live in West Virginia, the type of white people who live in West Virginia, generally have shit jobs, and they're fat, and they take drugs, and they have the worst health outcomes of any white people in America. By far, all statistics show the white people in West Virginia have the biggest problems of any white people in the country, and it's not even close. A big part of the reason why those white people are so dysfunctional is they're not surrounded by interesting, ambitious, zesty people. So, if you imagine, Roger, that I get to upzone East Palo Alto, I build 1 million apartments in East Palo Alto, and the apartments are available for rent for the failure hillbilly people in West Virginia. They move there. The more ambitious people from West Virginia will move to East Palo Alto. They will start out with jobs, as the women will work as nannies for like the technology people, and the men will be handymen for the technology people. But over time, when loser failure people who are fat and addicted to drugs, when they are exposed to the geniuses in Palo Alto, it raises them up, it inspires them to be better, and they grow, and it's better for them, it's better for America. Now, the proof of what I'm saying, and then I will land my plane and you can shit on my views, the proof is Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina displaced a lot of dysfunctional people from New Orleans. New Orleans was a city that was the most dysfunctional in America. And there were a lot of families where no one had worked for 100 years. They were on welfare for 100 years. And those people were displaced by Hurricane Katrina, and they moved to Atlanta and Houston. And economists have studied it, and it turns out the loser failure families from New Orleans that moved to Atlanta and Houston, they're doing much, much, much better. Relocating near ambitious, functional people is the magical elixir that helps a lot of losers. Therefore, Roger, and I'm landing my plane, your policy of not forcing Silicon Valley to upzone, not forcing Silicon Valley to build 1 million apartments, you are personally condemning all the losers in West Virginia to being losers forever. It's the most cruel opinion you've ever had.
I get your point. Okay, so first of all, Roger has nothing to do with the problems in West Virginia, but let me explain something. And it's interesting that you would pick East Palo Alto. It tells me that there's probably maybe an age difference in you and I, and maybe I don't want to say that me being older than you makes me wiser, but it does allow me the benefit of experience. And so when in the early 90s, East Palo Alto, as you referred to it, was for 2 years running, was the murder capital of the country. And it was the murder capital of the country in neighborhoods that were very low income, okay? And it was literally for 2 years running during a very dangerous time in American history, early 90s, 90, 91, 92, 93, that 4-year period, very dangerous. East Palo Alto was on par with Detroit, DC, Chicago, the roughest neighborhoods anywhere on the fucking planet, okay? And East Palo Alto was right next to Palo Alto and Menlo Park, where the heart of Silicon Valley started, Mountain View, Menlo Park, Palo Alto. What happened in the 90s is they did the exact opposite of what you're talking about. They destroyed the low-income housing, and they forced people to scatter, right? They destroyed the low-income housing completely. In fact, you can go, if you go to the IKEA, the IKEA is built in an area where it was one of the most deadly places in all of America in the early 90s. And now it's an IKEA, it's parking lot, okay? And so this idea that you have, which is in East Palo Alto, you're going to go build low-income housing, the people of California say, Mickey, we were there. We had low-income housing, and it was the most deadly place in America. We took that away, and actually everything changed. Silicon Valley ended up having a tech boom, and some of the campuses of the biggest companies on the planet now reside in the areas that had the type of housing that you're referring to. So which tech company do you want to destroy the campus of and return to 1990 to 1993 violence in East Palo Alto?
Roger, you're mischaracterizing. I never said to build government low-income housing. I said let capitalists build free market housing. Don't mischaracterize what I'm saying. By the way,
address the point, though. No, I want you to address the point. You said that if there was low-income housing in East Palo Alto, that would be a good thing. And I'm telling you that it happened, and it was the most dangerous part of the...
Roger, I have never advocated building low-income housing anywhere. Low-income housing is government low-income housing is immediately filled with violent crackheads that murder their neighbors. Okay, I've never once in my fucking life advocated. What I've advocated for, Roger, is if you pull out a map of Silicon Valley, you will see there's enormous empty pieces of land. For example, there's shut down military bases. There's a bunch of empty, vacant pieces of land that could be sold to private, libertarian developers, real estate developers, who will build apartments because they're greedy. And once greedy capitalists build 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 apartments, the law of supply and demand makes the rents go down. It's not the government saying the rents have to be down. In every city that builds a massive number of apartments, the rents go down because of the free market. That's libertarianism. That's capitalism. Now, what I have represented to you, Roger, which you're avoiding, right? I have shown, I think, ample evidence that a lot of people in America that are lazy, loser, drug-addicted failures are only failures because they don't have proximity to smart people. So what I've said, very succinctly, Roger, is if you allow capitalists to build 500,000 apartments in Silicon Valley, they will fill those apartments with people paying market rents, and people will have the chance to escape from shitholes and move to the proximity of good jobs. And right before I land my plane, there's a perfect example of a person that escaped the shithole of Appalachia, and because he lived near smart people, he's now a success, and his name is J.D. Vance. If you read Hillbilly Elegy, what he says very clearly in that great fucking book is, if I had stayed living near my loser, shithead Appalachian neighbors, I would be a drug-addicted piece of shit failure. Because I moved and put myself in proximity of high IQ people, I'm now a success. So respectfully, Roger, I'm done speaking.
Yeah. Hold on. Listen, I get it. Plugging a book. J.D. Vance, he's running for vice president. I saw the movie. Didn't read the book, but I did watch the movie. But respectfully, you didn't address the fact that in this very area that you want housing to be, address the fact that in the early 90s, we had housing there. It was very, very affordable. In fact, it was some of the cheapest properties that you could rent in all of the Bay Area. And it was the murder capital of the country during that time. Address the fact that in that very area that had this housing that you speak of, that you had a murder rate that exceeded that of Detroit. I'll break out the numbers for you. Anybody that was here, that was in the room, that was living in California at that time, that remembers East Palo Alto in the early 90s being the murder capital, please, welcome you to come up on the stage. Tell me if you think I was right, wrong, or indifferent. But Mickey, you haven't responded to that, and because I think it's hilarious to me that the very area that benefited the most in the Bay Area from having housing removed is the very area that you're suggesting would benefit from adding housing.
Well, actually, I've been to East Palo Alto a number of times, and you're totally mischaracterizing the reason why East Palo Alto went from high murder to low murder. And I happen to have visited a number of times. There was a massive demographic change in East Palo Alto. So in the 90s, in fact, the number of housing units has not gone down. In fact, the number of housing units in East Palo Alto today is actually higher than it was in the 90s. So your narrative that somehow tearing down housing is necessary in order to reduce the murder rate, it's just totally ahistorical and wrong. What actually happened in East Palo Alto, Roger, is in the 90s, a huge percentage of the families were on welfare. And families who get welfare from the government are much more likely to be murderers than families who work for a living. So what happened is President Clinton actually ended welfare as we knew it. And because he cut the welfare payments to the welfare families left. And actually hard-working blue-collar workers moved in. And actually, if you actually Google it, Roger, you'll see a massive demographic trends turnover. So if you're trying to make the point that letting welfare recipients move near you will be a disaster, I just posted an article that proves your point better than you could ever make it. It's an article from The Atlantic called American Murder Mystery. And what this article shows is in every single wealthy suburb that they build low-income housing in, the low-income residents rape and murder the middle-income people. It's a great article from The Atlantic. It proves that building low-income housing does cause murderers and rapists to come into your neighborhood. However, I've never argued for that. I've argued for letting capitalists build market-rate housing. And I still stand by the 10 articles I posted that show if you allow greedy capitalists to build millions of market-rate apartments, It causes the rents for hardworking, honest people to go down. It allows people who are losers from West Virginia to move to Silicon Valley and get good jobs. Everyone who cares about America, it doesn't matter what fucking political party you're in, everyone in America should want the people that are trapped in West Virginia with shithole jobs. You should want them to have the chance to go work for Silicon Valley people and double and triple their income, unless you're a ghoul.
Hey, so let's read something from the chat, because it's always fun to do that. I don't know who this guy is, but Riyadh El-Khul, all capital letters in his name, he said, it's funny how Roger find correlation between crime rates and affordable housing. And then he has the smiley emoji. Riyadh, I'd welcome you to come up here. I'd love to have this dialogue with you. I'm happy to defend why in low-income housing areas we see crime. I will say this. I don't believe that that poverty causes crime. I believe that crime causes poverty. But if you want to get up here, I'd love to address this, because usually the biggest critics of the things that I say are people that want to take one little comment in the chat and don't want to actually defend their own position. So I invite you to come up to the stage and we'll have a conversation about it, and we'll see if you know anything about this topic whatsoever. But anybody else want to check?
Hey Roger, you really think that crime caused poverty and not vice versa? That's
absolutely
that's kind of impossible.
I absolutely do.
Which one came first? Which one first?
Chicken on the egg. Egg on the chicken.
Because I think I can prove this out pretty succinctly. I don't believe that being poor causes crime. So, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of poor people that don't commit crimes. There's a lot of rich people that do commit crimes, right? They're, like, being rich, being poor, being middle class, that's not the determinant of whether you're going to commit a crime. Now, it might be the determinant of whether or not you get away with it because you can afford a better lawyer. That's a whole different thing. But you show me an area of people that are criminally minded and that choose to make bad decisions with their life, whether it's violating the law and either hurting or taking from other people and making poor choices in terms of the substances that they consume. And I'll show you an area that's going to be very, very poor in no time. If you have a high concentration of people that choose to make those kind of decisions, they're going to be poor. And then what happens is when they're chronically poor, their only choices are to continue to live in areas like that. So no, I don't think poverty causes crime. I think crime causes poverty.
But the problem is that the poverty was there first. So there's like, I can't think of a scenario where it was some rich place and then they started doing crime and they became impoverished. Like, the poverty was always there. Then the crime came for many reasons. I mean, it wasn't the poverty by itself, but poverty was definitely there before the crime.
Do you believe that being poor is a cause of?
It's part of it. It's part of the equation. Like, everybody who's poor don't commit crimes. No way, no how. But
hello.
It definitely is a factor in it. I mean, when you're poor, you might start to sell drugs.
Hey y'all, I'm in a clown house room with Roger Mayhem and the genius Hikima.
Listen. There's wealthy people that sell drugs. And so you might be very wealthy and you might have access to purchasing larger supply and be able to chop it up smaller and make higher profits. So this idea that being poor is what leads you there, I just don't buy it. I think that if we really want to get technical, and I know this will get controversial real fucking quick, but I'll just say it. You show me a fucking home that doesn't have a father, and I'll show you a home that is highly likely of running into problems. And so I think that when if you want a corollary to both poverty and crime, you show me a home And I'm not blaming single mothers for this. I'm actually blaming these fucking deadbeat dads that fucking run out on their fucking kids. That's what I'm blaming. I actually have a lot of respect for women that are trying to do the best to raise their kids. But these deadbeat dads that leave their children in these terrible situations, that's a fucked up situation. And when that happens, when you don't have the guidance of a male in the home, that's where you see a lot of these fucking problems. And I'm happy to post statistics about that. And I'm sure that as I say that, somebody's going to want to. Shane says, and neglectful stepfathers. Well, here's the thing about stepfathers. Stepfathers, they step in because they call it step because they're stepping in. They're stepping in to smash. They're stepping in because they're so horny that they want to bang the woman, and they've ignored the fact that she's got kids that don't belong to him. And so oftentimes they're not looking at it like they stepped into a family role and a father role. What they do oftentimes is they step in of like, oh, I'm just going to smash. And like, oh, she's got a kid. Well, I'm going to disregard. Most stepfathers are pieces of shit, statistically. Now, for those of you that are doing it right, man, kudos to you. I think that's an awesome thing. If you can step up and do the right thing, that's really cool. But dude, I'm going to tell you, the problem in America, I'll fucking expand this. The problem in America, it goes back to two things. Women are giving up their pussy too fucking easy to loser-ass men, and men are not fucking owning their responsibility when they have children. Those two fucking factors. If women were less whores and men were men and actually owned their responsibilities, I think that America could get back on track in one fucking generation. One generation. All you have to do is have men act like men and have women stop acting like. You got real quiet because the whores don't want to speak.
Roger, my only issue with that is not that what you said. It's just that if I repeat it, I often get in trouble. I've tried repeating stuff like that, and I get in trouble. So it's actually, I like what you're saying, and it's said with good intent. But
who do you get in trouble with?
People who take me like super literally, and then they get really offended. Maybe Roger's much older than me. I'm 30. So then women who, if they hear that and I'm 30, they'll say, oh, that could mean that's really offensive. And it depends on what age group you're in. You really can't say that to women my age, 31. But I think if you're like maybe in your middle age, it's a lot easier,
Yeah, listen, I said what I said, and I make no apologies for it. I can defend what I said. I think that two things, and I'll start with the men. I think men should embrace their role as a man. They should embrace their role as a good man, an honorable man. And if they find a woman that they care for, that they want to make a family with, they should own that responsibility. And they too often they don't. And then problem number two, you got a lot of women that'll just throw their pussy around like they're handing out fucking cookies at the goddamn fucking PTA meeting. And if they stop doing that, make the men work for it. I'll tell you right now, if women could culturally say, you know what, we're not going to fuck these men unless they put a ring on our finger. If we went back to no sex before marriage, and I'm not a prude, believe me, I've had sex outside of marriage for sure, but if we're talking about solving the problems of Western civilization, go back to a time when men had to be on their shit. They had to have a job. They had to be a loving husband. They had to be a good father, and they had to have a fucking job to provide. They needed to be able to protect, provide, and procreate. And if they could do those things, they would catch the best woman that they could get. And women loved those men. Now we have women. They find a guy that they think is mildly attractive. They spread their legs. He drops drops his semen in there. She gets pregnant. He's off to the next one. And then we have this rinse and repeat thing. And you've got a bunch of women trying to figure out their life, raising kids without a father, And then they introduce their kids to some other guy that's just going to smash, add another kid. Now all of a sudden you've got a single woman that's got 4 kids from 4 different dads. And again, I'm blaming the dudes out there. Dudes, you should act like men, act like real fucking men, and see just how it would change. And again, for the women, if you were to just inspect, like look around, look at the women whose lives are not the kind of lives that you would want to live, where they're like, they got the kids and the dad is left. If you were to look around at them and just ask yourself, do they throw the pussy around a little too easily? And I would bet that you would agree with me that.
I have a question. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But are we also considering, like, social media itself is a big factor in everything, because they have people like Sexy Red and all these other rappers and people who, like, live these nice lives that people want to live. Well, they portray that they live those lives. And they got girls looking up to them who don't have father figures in their house for some reason, whether it be, adultery, because men do cheat, as women do too. But it's just a lot of factors, I feel like, that play into that. And I feel like our whole moral compass as a society has shifted because of social media.
So, Lana, let me speak to you directly. So, I appreciate your comment, but I look at your profile pic where you're, bending over, touching the hair, bending your ass out in the air. It's very seductive, and for a guy that doesn't know better, he might look at that and say, oh, I'll bet you she's easy. I'll bet you I could smash that. And then he might think that she would be easily impressed with, a nice car or some money or whatever. And so I guess because you said some intriguing things, but then I'm looking at your photograph and I'm thinking, you're basically fucking setting the trap with your fucking booty in your photo. And so I'm just wondering, why aren't you practicing what you...
Okay, so not once did I preach anything about modesty, if that's what you're touching on. And on top of that, I'm bent over. There's many perspectives and different things. And the reason why I was slightly bent over like that was because my mirror was close to the ground and I couldn't capture my whole outfit without being leaned over like that. See, it's porn and all these nasty, I guess, mindsets that people have around people to think that, like, oh yeah, she's easy or she can get that. But you can't, there's people around me, my mama can't even tell me 2 men I've had sex with because I don't throw pussy around like that. I'm much more than a body and a coochie. Like, I have brains and I'm very intelligent, but we're not going to get into
listen,
that.
I'm sure you are intelligent, but let's just keep it, as the young folks say, let's keep it 100. When you post that photo, you're hoping that men are going to go, oh man, she's bad, and then they're going to slide up in the DMs and they're going to make their little pitch. And if you look at their profile and you're like, oh look, he got some money, he got it going on, you're gonna take that date and you seduced them with this photo. I get it, it's a small mirror, you bent over and you accidentally poked your ass out. I mean, honestly, you could put a headshot out there. You could put a picture of your cat, and I don't mean your vagina. You could put a lot of photos, but you decided to put a seductive photo out here because you're complaining about social media, but you're one of the ones that are out here putting yourself out there in a way that I guarantee you that a good man is not going to respond to this. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll be super honest. I look at the photo and I go, wow, she's attractive. It's too bad that she's a trollop. Because if you carried yourself better, I think there's a lot of good men right here in this room that would be like, man, she's hot. Let's holler at her. But because you got your booty in the air, I'm thinking, dude, she's probably been run up in by about 1,000.
And that's your perception, and that's your, I guess, your assumptions. Like, that's how you feel as a person, which ultimately that just like sums up how you think when you think of women. Do you see like sexual object every time you look at a woman? Or do you think I see how her hand is perpendicular to her body, creating this like different view. Like, you could look at it artistic too. It's all up to your own interpretation.
Lana,
Maybe
I'm
I'm
a woman,
crazy.
and I can see that too.
Hold on. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm gonna call on one man to see if they agree with me, disagree with me, and then I'll call on one woman to see if they understand my point. Let's start with Dr. Responsible. Dr. Responsible, do you think that my critique of her photo was fair?
Yes.
All right. And Issa, you being a woman that grew up, with the, I guess, in a Hispanic, Latina background where I guess there's. Oh, excuse me.
That was just being an asshole. Go ahead.
Yes. So Issa, go ahead and tell me. Do you think my why is somebody interrupting? Issa, do you think my critique of her photo?
100%. It's a thirst trap.
Come on.
You don't need to have that fun.
Hey, Rod, you asked two MAGAs, so they super far right conservative. I don't think it.
But Hakima, in all fairness, you're a guy that has 11 children with different baby mamas. I think that, like, when you look at that photo, this is the kind of thing that you fall for, which is why you have 11 kids from different baby mamas.
Actually, my baby mother came before the time with Facebook, before Facebook and pictures like this. But there's nothing wrong with her picture. It's not like she turned around with her butt sticking out. Like she's been down like she described, looking in the mirror, and you can tell she's showing her outfit. She's not trying to show up. She's not trying to show
My jacket
up.
didn't even unzip her.
Hakima, you have daughters, right?
Yes, I do.
Would you want your daughter posing like this?
There's nothing wrong with the way she's doing. She's not doing anything wrong at all.
Okay, so you're connected to your daughter on Facebook. She posts this photo, no caption, no nothing. Just post this photo. You're gonna give it a like emoji.
No, I don't like anybody in my family pictures that they post. I just don't. I mean, not be females. I don't. Well, males either. I don't like. I don't like posts like that. I don't.
How about this?
But there's nothing wrong.
I want to be fair, right? All I'm saying is that I thought Lana made a very good point, but I think she contradicted her point with her photo. And I'm suggesting that if she wore something that and took a picture, just like she's a pretty girl, right? Imagine her taking just a very conservative photo of herself and being much more modest and not sticking her ass out. I think that the type of attention she gets would be different, and I think her life would be better off with that type of.
Can you stop playing around and just say what you want to say? Because you don't want to say, like, just say what you want to say.
Listen, Roger's a man. He's a grown man, a free man.
Yeah, he's a grown man, but he doesn't act like a grown man.
You don't sound like you come from a free country. You come from a free country. This is America. This is fucking America. USA.
Nice, Ish.
I just want to know if Hakima really has 11 baby mamas. That's what I'm still.
And I still
At the end of the day, we're all
in
human.
your. Okay.
I got 6 baby mamas.
Okay, that's better than 11. I was about to say.
Wait, hold on. You got 11 kids.
But can you please
6
just
baby mamas. And hold
be
on.
direct.
E. Relax. Find me fun. Here's the thing. I like Hakima. Hakima and I bump heads on a couple of issues. I'm a little bit more selective with women than he is. It just is what it is. And so it's not shocking to me that when he looks at Lana's photo, he thinks, ain't nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is that I think if Lana was to be more modest, I think the caliber of men that would be interested in her would increase, and I think that her life would be better off. And I would just challenge her to change her PTR for a day, just for a day, of just put a fucking headshot and quit poking your ass out there, and let's just see how the conversations change, and see if the attention you get is.
Roger, we good? Everything good with you?
I think you're a fool.
See, the thing with that is I change my profile picture very, very often. And it's crazy because I just changed it to this one before I came to here. And 9 times out of 10, I do have a headshot photo on. And I grew up with a very, I'm not going to say conservative family, but... I'm sorry?
I'm an American. Can I speak? Is that
Hey,
possible?
stop, bro. Hey, stop, bro. You're fucking up the flow of the conversation.
How am I not an American?
Ignore him, Lana. Ignore him. He's trying.
Anyways, I'm about to say because he definitely looks a little. We're not gonna talk about that. Anyways, see, I lost my train of.
You said that you put your PTR up just before you came into this space.
Okay, I changed my profile picture right before I came into this space, not knowing that it would play a huge role in the conversation or anything. I thought we were talking about
a lot of women change their PTR to come in this space because everybody's heard about Roger, and they're like, they come in here and they think they're gonna get my attention by poking their ass out. And I'm just telling you, there's a lesson for all you ladies. The ones that keep it cool, the ones that are more modest, those are the ones that I tend to go, oh, let me see what she's about. Let me see what she's about. Issa never posts pictures exposing her body to strange men on the internet. And as a result, you could look at Issa and you could go, okay, she's a classy girl.
Well, I have citizenship, so I have an American citizenship. So thank you very much for that. But please, just please don't embarrass America more.
And that is how Roger slid into my DMs 4 years ago.
Wait, why did you think he was a Jew? You asked if he was a Jew. What does that have to do with anything?
She's a terrorist.
What?
Cat got your tongue?
Yeah, I'm a terrorist. Like, if that is actually what you believe, like...
Oh my God! Take cover!
No, but I think this is so fucking crazy. Like, this guy, how can you even let him speak? Like, he is...
Hey, which guy are we talking about? Which guy?
This is about to blow.
Alltså ni måste skämta. Alltså, och ni måste skämta.
Why do Arabic people do that? They always curse at us in like their accent. They never say.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to know who she was talking about. She said, "This guy, which guy? There's 50 guys."
She's trying to set off an explosive. She's trying to set off an explosive. I warned you.
Do you think she said the nails?
No one said open explosive. No one said that.
Come on, E. You know you love me. Admit it, I'm funny. You can't hate me. They don't hate me. They love me everywhere I go. Okay? So you're a terrorist. And that's what it is. Because we're in America.
Stop. Lana, let me ask you a different question. The title of the room is about Trump and Kamala. Who are you voting for?
Kamala.
I'm having a really hard time trying to distinguish between how I'm feeling. Cause me, I'm not someone who just stands for a party and is like, oh, this is my party, I'm gonna run with this party. That's not the type of person I am. I like looking at the platform and what we're actually going for.
He asked me, who are you going to vote for? And I'm going to vote for Kamala. Why is that bad? If you ask
can't even say Kamala. That's why it's bad. You can't say Kamala. That's why.
Kamala. Come on. Just stop. No, just stop. Like, I speak 5 different languages. Like,
well, then you would understand what Roger said. He asked Lana, not you. Lana.
No, but to the girl who was speaking before me.
Listen, I don't think I'm drinking and driving. He asked Lana, not you. Can you let Lana answer the question?
I am sorry if I said
wrong. Get out of my country.
Lana, do you want to answer the question?
As of right now, I don't know who I'm voting for, and I was coming in here to kind of get a peace of mind. I mean, I know I agree with certain things Trump does, and I disagree with them. Same for Kamala. So I don't know who I'm voting for right now.
Okay, well, let's sort this out then. What is an issue that comes to your mind that's important when you determine who the president's going to be, who, regardless of who's running? What's an issue that's important to you?
I think progression, like as a society, period. Not even on like a liberal stance. Just like how are we going to do better with what we have?
Yeah, but I don't really know what that means. Let's get specific.
Okay.
You know, because your idea of progress and my idea of progress might be two different fucking things.
I agree.
So what specifically? If you had a magic wand, if Lana had a magic wand, could wave her wand, what policy would magically appear and that would help us all be better?
I feel like the economy is something that we really need to work on right now. Whether it be, I'm not even worried about other countries' trade. I haven't really looked into that. I mean, I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about how are we going to do better for America and how are we going to I guess, like make stuff affordable for everyone, not just the higher classes, not the lower classes, everyone.
Roger.
Yeah,
Roger.
You can jump in, but I want to make sure we stay on this in this lane because it helps us to keep track of
I'm in the lane.
Of the topic of the room. Hold on.
I'm in the lane.
I'm gonna ask you a question, but I want to make sure that everyone stays on topic. We're talking about what are the policies that we want to see enacted, and Lana took us in a great direction. She said the economy. What I'd like to do, and Bishop, maybe you can guide us there. What would be a policy prescription that would make that would make people that are at the lower end of the income bracket be able to live their best life? What's a policy prescription that would help them?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. In fact, this will help to cleanse the soul of your nation, your dying, rotten, almost garbage nation that I love called America. Okay? It's called the reparations policy. All right? Because you owe me fucking money, Roger. You owe me fucking money. You asked for it, you got it. All right? Because, the blacks, the people everyone loves to use, from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, all right? The blacks, okay? That's the bottom of the barrel. If we're talking the bottom, that's the bottom right there. Okay, and it's not an accident. Excuse me. No, Roger, you don't got it. You don't got it. You asked.
I want to respond. Hold on. I want to respond. So Lana was being serious and wanted to talk about the economy. Ish decided to suggest.
No, reparations isn't economic.
Yeah, I'm going to move you if you interrupt me. Ish decided to take it in the direction of reparations. And then what he did was he said something incredibly racist, that he said that blacks are at the bottom of the barrel. Ish,
No. Come on. Listen, don't paint me as a racist. Now you're trying to appeal to my people by taking their truth and trying to fucking, sanitize it? No. We're at the bottom of the fucking barrel, okay? When it comes to everything, cancer, the first to eliminate a baby, the first to this, the first to that. We're the first. We're the first for every bad fucking thing, except for maybe skin cancer because we were blessed by God naturally. All right, but you poisoned our people, you twisted our souls inside out, and you got our money sitting in private banks like you don't owe us. All right? And the second it comes time to produce a fucking check for maybe something like COVID, okay? You do that. You produce the fucking check, all right? But when it comes to us, the sons and daughters of, America, all right? And most importantly, the mothers and fathers of civilization, we the black people of the planet, okay? You motherfuckers have a containment policy in effect. This is why we're sympathetic to the people in Gaza. It can go any way you want. It gets dangerous. Don't play.
I thought you were a Zionist, though.
Well, okay, so you've told on yourself that you don't want to have a serious conversation. I want to make this clear, okay? Because my position sometimes gets confused on this, and I want to make it very clear. I'm going to put this in terms, Ish, that even you can understand. I don't support reparations, and it has nothing to do with race. Race is just simply a social construct. No, mute your fucking mic. Mute your fucking mic, or you're going to be fucking asking for reparations to come back on the stage. Mute your fucking mic.
I'm moving down, Roger.
So here's the thing. I don't fucking care if you're black, white, or candy striped. Referencing a grievance that you didn't suffer from and trying to take money from people that didn't cause those problems is called theft. So, yeah, when it comes to reparations, you guys are trying to utilize, you're trying to utilize emotion and guilt to try to make a come up. And I think it's very disrespectful to the people that suffered through slavery, period.
I agree, Roger, but as a Kamala voter, can I tell you some things that
No.
that would help the middle class?
Can I respond to him in kind? Because he said something to what I said.
Roger, I don't know. You have to ask.
All right, Roger, he said, Master, can
Wait,
you
hold
give
on. Ish, you do get to respond, but let's let Rude reply. You don't know Rude very well. He's an OG on this app. A lot of people dislike him. I think it's misplaced. I think he's a good kid. We disagree on about a lot of things, but what we're not going to do is fucking interrupt his time to speak. You're going to find the motherfucking mute button, Ish. Rude, go.
Thank you, Roger. So there's 3 things specifically that would help the middle class. She supports universal health care. Number 2, she also supports forgiving student loans. Number 3, she also supports contributing $25,000 to a new home down payment. So these 3 things would really help the middle class.
All right, is he done? Roger, are you ready for the smoke? Are you a coward? Are you ready to stand on your own two?
All right, how about this? Hold on. Jake, set the timer. We're going to give him 3 minutes uninterrupted to say whatever nonsense that he can dribble out of his lips. Set the timer. We're going to give him 3 minutes, and then we'll allow it.
You got it. 3 minutes, Ish, go. Ish, you got to unmute. Your time is running.
Oh, my bad. Okay. So, check this out. Lads, I don't want to just ramble for 3 minutes. You're an intellectual peanut. I will squash you like I rain from the sky as an elephant. Okay? On a peanut, an intellectual peanut. Okay? That's what I think about you, Roger, despite your big old head. Right? It's just a lot of space being unused in there. So how about we work this out intellectually and have an interactive conversation? Are you open to that? You want to get squashed, Roger? Are you tough? Okay. You're not tough, Roger. I get it. You don't want to get squashed. All right, this is what it's about. You owe us money. You owe us money. You owe us money. Okay? And when I say you, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the U.S. government, the institution that you motherfuckers, okay, have no control over. You don't believe me? You didn't fucking care for your money to go to Ukraine. You don't care for it to go to it now. All right? But guess where your money's going? And you fucking Ukraine. Okay? You don't decide where your money goes, pussy. I'm sorry. I hate that I'm speaking so frankly, but you don't decide nothing. You're a cockroach. All right? But the second it comes to black people getting their fucking money that we owe, okay, now you got something to say? All right? After they sent $70 plus billion of your money to Ukraine, now you got something to say? Make me spit on you, bitch. I'm sorry. But you generate my passions because you insulting me. You using my people pain to talk to me like you know something. You don't know shit, white man. All right? You're talking to the mothers and fathers of civilization. We made you people. You come from us. What the fuck you talking about? Who are you talking to? Respectfully. Okay? Respectfully, Roger. With your fucking peanut head. With that kneecap above your eyebrows. You fucking Neanderthal. All right? This is not a personal attack. It is what it is, though. Okay? I'm an American. I'm a fucking American. All right? And you want to send my fucking money where? Where are you sending my money to? You fucking Ukraine? Them Ukrainians. And as a matter of fact, as an American, as a goddamn American,
Time's
okay?
Up. 3 minutes-ish.
What the fuck, bro? That's what...
I'm just telling you, Roger, lay down the movie. Go brain for 3 minutes, and then that's it. You got your 3 minutes in. Roger, I'm going to hand it back to
Roger. Very cool.
Yo.
Very cool.
What happened, Roger? You muted up. I'm trying to finish my speech. That's a goddamn America.
No, hold on. I'm gonna speak.
Why the fuck keep muting up?
Okay, I'm gonna respond for. You guys hear me now?
That's my. Yes.
Yeah.
God doesn't even want you to respond. He wants me to
Hey, Ish, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna respond to you. You had 3 minutes, and you decided to spend most of it launching personal attacks.
I challenge you want to filibuster. That's what
I don't
you want to do.
understand. Hey, move this piece of shit if he interrupts me one more time. You decided to spend your 3 minutes personally attacking me, saying things that aren't even funny. You're a peanut. Okay, got it. I'm a peanut. You didn't have anything intellectual to say. And I've laid out why I don't support reparations. But I'm going to respond to what you said. Your argument was the money given to Ukraine, but we don't have money to give to you. Well, you're barking up the wrong tree with me, because I don't support foreign aid. I don't support corporate welfare. I don't support social welfare. And I certainly don't support this handout that you're fucking asking for. You should get a fucking job. We've created a country that creates a lot of opportunities. Opportunities that you are free to pursue. You, in one generation in this country, can change the wealth of your entire history of your ancestors. You don't need a fucking handout. What you need are skills, determination, and a little bit of creativity, and you'll make plenty of fucking money. So I don't support reparations. I certainly don't support giving money to your dumbass, and I definitely don't support this idea that you want to suggest that I support giving money elsewhere. Look, there's countries that I support morally with my you know, and I would make a decision individually to give to them, but I don't think that government should force the taxpayer dollars to go to foreign aid, to corporate welfare, or to social welfare. And again, reparations, look, if the people were still alive that suffered, I would absolutely be on the side of their grievance and say that, look, they were wrong, they should sue, they should get their money. Sadly, that didn't happen. Sadly, that did not happen. I am anti-slavery, just as almost everybody in this room is, with the exception of one person. I won't call them out by name. But the fact is, we no longer have that system because we've rejected it, because we know it's wrong. And so I suggest that instead of spending your time and energy with your handout, you go obtain some job skills and go make some money. You're telling yourself that you're not a very successful human being. I'll end now.
All right, and I'll pick up where you left off. I love that landing, by the way. Okay, you see, I'm smooth. They tap, I flow like water. That's what they call me in my neighborhood. They call me Young Water. Okay, so get ready for Young Water. Watch me drip. You ready? So you just revealed how racist you were. I don't even know if you knew that. You also revealed how much of a coward you are. Roger, I don't mean to insult you. You're my friend. Okay, but as a friend, I have to tell you the truth when I see it, as I see it, right? And, you know, cowards, they don't like interactive conversations, right? I'll tell you the symptoms of a coward. Cowards like to filibuster, okay? This is water dripping, you're right. They filibuster because they sound smart, unchallenged. I want a challenge. That is what I want. I want war. That is my spirit, okay? Your spirit is timid. You have a womanly spirit, all right? You have a spirit like Mother Nature. Okay, I should call you Mother instead of Roger. But I won't do that because we're not into the LGBTQ stuff. Me and you, we can agree on some things, okay? Because you're a brilliant man. That big-ass head is not big for no reason. But Roger, stop showing the symptoms of a fearful intellect, all right? Let's have an interactive conversation so that you don't filibuster, so that we can challenge the worth of your ideas in the marketplace of ideas, all right? Because we gangbang over here. In my neighborhood, where I'm from, all right? You're not about that, though, because you're timid. You're soft, white boy, all right? But since you want to do the filibuster thing, I've filibustered a little. I'm going to filibuster some more. I know you have endless stamina to filibuster. Okay, I actually want to challenge, unlike some cowards. All right, but here's the filibuster where we discuss some of Roger's pathetic points that need a lot of room or foundation because they're so weak. It just requires that much support. I'm simple, straight to the point, sharpshooter. Okay, inheritance. All right, that's what we're gonna deal with. We're gonna deal with that concept, inheritance. Okay, just to collapse his silliness, that babble, that crackhead meth air that he spewed on this stage. All right. So what is an inheritance? Okay, an inheritance is something you give to your children. All right, it is a right. Okay, you have the right to an inheritance. You know, and people typically have that right when they're considered human. You know what black people weren't considered for centuries? Okay, just that, fucking human, motherfucker. All right, and you trying to tell me my people's history? Imagine if somebody was wearing a yarmulke on this stage or was from some sort of synagogue and I came up here and tried to tell them, oh, your history, you didn't go through that much. You're the descendants of the people who went through that. You're talking about the state of Israel has the right to exist. Everyone loves Jewish people. Shut up. Imagine. Okay? I wouldn't last a millisecond on this stage. All right? Because we know. I don't got to say too much. All right, Roger? We know. You're compromised. Okay? In any case, I'm a free man in a free country. White man. All right? That's what you are. White man. Okay? So as a free man in a free country, this is what I'm going to tell you. White man. All right? And Arabs, listen to this too. Okay? Because your country's need to see.
Land your fucking
No,
bro.
it's landed. It's landed.
Hold on. Hold on. They should get some reparations and started been paying out. But yeah, continue.
No, Jay, I love you to death, but brother, you insult my soul, brother. Cry. I'm a man. You understand? Like my child.
Okay, stop whining, man. See what you're saying, you know.
Alright, let me talk. In any case, Roger, Mr. White Man, because you know I don't hate you, Roger. You know that big ass man. There's something in there, and I respect that something. What something there is left. You know? Got you. And I'm landing right now. It's like this though, Roger. You're not controlling the money sent to Ukraine. You're not controlling any of the foreign aid sent to Africa. I'm landing, please. You're not controlling any of the foreign aid sent to Africa. You know those people that they say eat dogs in Ohio, the Haitians, right? You're not controlling any of the money sent to them. You don't control shit. You're on this approach. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. Okay? So all of these things you don't control, and you're mad, despite being pro-America, you're mad at Americans when slavery.
Roger, please go.
Yep. Okay, so Roger.
Yes, man.
Am I muted? Am I not muted?
Now you're muted. Anyway, I'm thinking on reparations.
Something about that. I wanted an interactive conversation.
Don't make me move, bro. But
Okay, cool. So here's the thing. You said that I filibustered as I sat on mute listening to every word you said. Most of the things you said didn't make any sense at all. You were putting together insults rather than putting together an argument, illustrating that you don't even know the subject matter that you're talking about. You're not talking about the historical injustice. You're not talking about the areas where we might agree. You're not talking about anything. You're simply invoking this idea that you want money, and you're assuming that you understand my position, which you don't, clearly. I'll make this point. Race is a social construct, one that you seem to embrace deeply. You keep using the term black, you keep using the term white, as if these terms are something that you deeply feel attached to, these social constructs. And so my point would be, I don't give a fuck about any of this collectivist idea. like the idea of grouping together under the label of white or grouping together under the label of black, I think all of that is part of the fucking problem. When you have a collectivist idea in your head that this in-group somehow good, that out-group somehow bad, that's how you get things like slavery. If you want to embrace a philosophy that would completely rebuke that idea, you would embrace the idea that individuals have inherent rights. Individuals have the right to life, liberty, and property. Something that was ignored for a lot of people for a long time. And why? Because of this idea of collectivizing guilt and collectivizing favor. If you want to join the right side of humanity, if you want to join the side that embraces maximum freedom, you would embrace the idea of individual rights, and you would lose this idea of attaching yourself to a fucking group. I don't give a fuck about what group you identify with. I don't give a fuck what group you think that I should identify with. I am an individual. Period. End of story. Now that you understand where I'm coming from, maybe you might want to respond to that rather than just sitting there spinning your wheels, hurling insults. And how about this? The first insult that comes out of your mouth, I'm going to remove you from the room and move on to somebody intelligent.
Roger, brother, you're my American brother. Is that sounding like an insult? Okay, you shouldn't be so sensitive, Roger. And that's not an insult either. It's just that as my American brother, I'm hoping that I could joke with you and that maybe we could share a beer one day, you know? So it's like, bro, I know white folks like coffee. But bro, if we can't joke, what the fuck has America become? What has America become if we can't even joke anymore, bro? So Roger, if you're gonna shoot me, I'm gonna tell you like I told Sergeant. I'm not even gonna tell you the sergeant's name, okay? But, cause you know I'm a big criminal. But I'll tell you about that later. In any case, if we can't joke, Roger, then it's fucked up already, bro. We shouldn't be divided, bro. That's why the dog fuckers got us, bro. The Chinese, bro, they have us right now, bro. And they're not the only ones that have us. You're under the yoke of some of the other folks that got us. I don't have to say too much. You know, these are sensitive times. You got a lot of sensitive people up here, okay? But I love my nigga Jay, my nigga Roger. And you don't ever in your life think you can call me nigga, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm a black man. I'm an African god. I love you. I'm American. But you know what the deal is. What? So what? Haitians aren't African? I thought you were from Europe. I thought your ancestors left the fucking Levant, you know? But no, you care about your heritage. You care about 2,000 years ago. So you talk about Israel and how you have the right to exist. So you get what I'm saying. We don't got to go too deep into it.
Is
okay?
Roger Jewish?
No, listen. It's a lot of crypto Jews on this app. All right, and listen. As far as crypto jewelry is concerned...
Wait. What's a crypto Jew?
A slick, low riding. Yes, absolutely. A slick, low riding. And when I say low riding, I mean undercover Jew. Okay? And you don't have to be Jewish by birthright. You can be Jewish in soul. Okay? It's a lot of people that have Jewish souls on this app. I'm one of them. I'm a Zionist. Right? Fuck those Arabs. Respectfully. Okay? So if you don't believe me, you don't have to. All right? I want a Jewish dentist. All right? Because who wants teeth like Yasser Arafat? Or whatever the fuck his name is. His teeth are atrocious. Okay? So I want a Jewish dentist. All right? I want Jewish money. Okay? I want the winning team. And the Jews are winning. All right? Now guess what? Issa's a hater because she's a fucking Guatemalan migrant who wants to be in America.
All right, I'm sorry, Roger. I moved him down. I couldn't listen to his bullshit anymore. You said no insults. He's going after people that I didn't say a fucking word to him. I'm handing it back to you, Raj, and you want to call somebody else. I guess we can go popcorn style, guys. Go ahead.
Could I ask
Mo.
a question, please?
Go ahead, Mo.
Thanks. Okay. I'm just really, really curious why Ish is allowed to just go on and on and on and on all the time whenever I get into a space that he's in. Is it just because you guys just like interacting with him? You just kind of want to hear what he has to say? I don't know, because I just hear me personally. It's just a bunch of gibberish, and it doesn't seem to go anywhere. And it's just.
Well, Mo, can I tell you why I let him talk in my space? I can't speak for Roger. Hold on, Ricky. So, Mo, the reason I let him go on in my space is because he says a lot of the things that people that want to say it are afraid to say it. It's the truth. That's how I feel about Ish. I don't agree with anything he ever says. But he will say the things that a lot of people are afraid to say because of their cancer. He doesn't care. This was like his 50th account. So, for me, I'll let him babble on. But then, I don't have as much
People are
patience
too
for it.
afraid to say. People can't even think about the stupid stuff he's thinking about and talking about. That makes you incredibly stupid, Mr. Tough Guy.
It was glitching.
Oh, man, stupid can't even recognize stupid.
It doesn't recognize what you're doing when you're pressing mute and unmute and all that shit.
Mine freezes up on me, bro. I can't unmute sometimes.
Yeah,
It freezes up.
Yeah, hey, I don't know what's going on with Ish because I had to reboot. Look, we can bring him back up in a minute. Here's the funny thing. I don't think he's a very smart guy, but I appreciate his willingness to mix it up. He reminds me of guys that I grew up with where, they're like they drink Cisco or Mad Dog 2020, they get drunk and they become a